This is Michael Marsalic. Good evening and welcome to Musician Spotlight. It's my pleasure to welcome my guest tonight, Jack Gladstone.
I was born to a working class family at the fringe of the city down by the sea. Father chiseled our name in stone, working on the Roman road. In the distant past we battled their legions, wilderness kept us free. But freedom withered in the face of the freezing winter of the refugees. We didn't like living under their rain, we swore the sun would rise for us again. We learned to think in a cross-blood way, working on the Roman road. Working on the Roman road. Well, the Circus Maximus would cheer and sing as the wave rolls round the ring. Players clash, we forget the tax, blood upon the Roman road. I can still hear Grandma's voice echoing her morning prayers. Our old men seem to have no choice, stuck in the ruts to the who knows where. On the Roman road, on the Roman road. I must escape from this Roman freeway, interstate of my mind. 'Cause they are we and we are they, trotting down the interstate line. I can still hear Grandma's voice echoing her morning prayers. Our old men seem to have no choice, stuck with the rush to the who knows where. On the Roman road, on the Roman road, on the Roman road, on the Roman road. On the Roman road, on the Roman road, on the Roman road.
It's my pleasure to welcome to Musician Spotlight tonight, Jack Gladstone. Welcome back to Missoula.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, it's great to hear you play. I've heard some of your music over the years, and you've got quite a few recordings now to your credit. Certainly another one of the list of Montana's celebrated musicians, and great to hear some of the successes that have come your way. And in a couple of minutes, we'll certainly mention you do have some recording dates or some performance dates coming up real soon.
Later this month.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that. Let me start out by finding a little bit about, I always like to know about you Montana players, about your history.
Well, I was actually not born in Montana. However, my roots extend as deep in this area. Actually, before this area was the state or territory of Montana, or even before the territory of Montana was in the Louisiana Purchase. My Blackfeet Indian roots extend back thousands and thousands of years, which is from my father's side. My father grew up in the Blackfeet Indian Reservation there in the St. Mary's Valley. After World War II, which he was our participant, he was honorably discharged in Seattle, Washington, where he met my mother in late 1945, 1946. They were married, and my father is retired Boilermaker now, still living in Seattle, and mother is white. She's mainly of German-American ancestry, and she's a retired Waitresses Union. So I grew up, and with that Roman Road song, I was born to a working-class family at the fringe of the city down by the sea, is a little bit autobiographical in that respect. But the roots extend back from my Indian roots into this area we now know as Montana. Yeah. I moved back here after I graduated from the University of Washington in 1982, and from 1983 for 4 years till 1987 taught at the Blackfeet Community College, where after that time embarked on a full-time lecturing and recording and performing career. So a quick little
Great.
scan. We're going from coast to coast right now, all the way from Alaska to Florida to the East Coast to L.A. and we were even in Europe last year. So we're covering the bases pretty good.
Well, that's great, and I understand your latest recording, a Buckskin Poets Society, is doing pretty well. You've got a lot of great new music on there, and
Yeah.
I hope you'll do some stuff off that
I will.
on tonight's show.
Yeah, with the Buckskin Poets Society, which is available at your better record dealers around the state. With that, I really approached storytelling in terms of mythology, in terms of legend, and gave it character. A song about Jim Thorpe, the great Indian athlete of Sac and Fox origin, is the last song on like side one. The last song on side two, Beneath Another Sky, deals with the Nez Perce War of 1877, seen through Chief Joseph's eyes during the course of that. And there are stories honoring bears and owls and eagles and seasons and builders and all the way through the album. So we've interwoven it pretty well. I'm pleased. Co-produced Buckskin Poet Society was with David Griffith, who is the famous lead man for Rob Quist and the Great Northern Band. He helped out a great deal.
It's great to see you singing and talking about our natural world and some of those things that are really important, and getting that music out there. Thank
you. One of the reasons we are so rich in our history, in our heritage here, is because we still have intact Indian nations here. Mm-hmm. The Salish, Kootenai, the Flathead Indian Reservation Nation are intact, and our Blackfeet Indians, actually, there are 7 Indian reservations in Montana, so there is a connection, unlike what they have in the East Coast, in a lot of places in the Midwest, where pretty much the Indians were either assimilated or pretty much smothered through the invasion of and conquest of the United States. We still have a certain amount of respect with our Indian people, and it's very important to acknowledge what role we have played, because we were pre-existing nations for thousands and thousands and thousands of years prior to the coming of this territory of Montana in the United States of America. And there's a relationship, there's a lot to be learned from some of our teachings.
Mm-hmm. What do you find the response is when you get outside Montana and play your music and go to other parts of the country and certainly overseas, if you've had that opportunity as well?
It's sometimes it's a curiosity, because people come to see, to investigate perhaps something their intuitive spirit tells them they were more like in an earlier day. What I mean is, in the primal mind, in the primal heart of our Indian tribes, we have a relationship that was formed with the earth, with the communities, with the Great Spirit, that is rather quite unlike what the Western tradition has taught and told us reality has been. So I share, in the context of my performances, some of the perceptions, some of the visions of our American Indian people, and it is usually a natural occurrence for people to contrast and to compare that vision with the vision that Western civilization has fostered upon us. Ron Terrio, a friend of mine from the Salish Kootenai College, has a great saying. It goes something like this. The Creator made us people with open minds, so the Great Spirit can shine its sunlight into us and make us grow happy. Western civilization gave us window shades. So a lot of times the goodness is altered by what has been taught and what has been propagated by Western Civ. So it's good to know all sides of the picture, all sides of the story.
We as Americans in this Western civilization and our current culture certainly have lost touch with a lot of those basic connections with the land. And, I think there is a real longing in a lot of people to try to reestablish some of that, and some of those thinkings and teachings and efforts that have always been there, that the people, the Native Americans and many of the North American Indians have always had and always relished in.
There's a great revitalization. I call it a renaissance of sorts that is occurring, it's almost like a birthing. This American culture has, been upon this land for the better part of a little bit over 200 years now, and they are awakening. They are awakening to living and sustaining a relationship, the challenge of sustaining a relationship with this land, which is a challenge that way back, once upon a time, our Indian peoples had to come to terms with. And when you come into a relationship with place, you start to regard it as sacred geography, and you start to look upon it in rather than an objectification in that form, rather personification of place and developing that deep relationship. Henceforth, the idea of the Earth Woman or Mother Earth or Mother Nature, perhaps the most digestible metaphor for Western Civ, those energies must be recognized and protected in order to maintain these people. You got to think of the great-grandchildren's grandchildren, the seventh generation, always with what we do today. It's coming around. Yeah.
How do you decide what to write about? What moves you? What is your method of madness in your songwriting? How do you work?
Well, there's a theme. I'm working on I have the theme. Noble Heart will be album number 4. And Noble Heart, this next one, will deal with heroes, both animal heroes and human heroes, both masculine and feminine, but heroes that have overcome obstacles and challenges and rose above all and bucked the odds. So I got some surprises in there. So from that general theme, there's individual stories. Now every story, every buddy that lived, everything has spirit. This whole idea of soul is not just confined to the human arena, but rather it extends to the animals, it extends to the winds. And the spirit of a song will make itself known, and it is my responsibility as a songwriter, as an imprinter of emotion, to bring that spirit to life in a form worthy of it. So it's this whole intuitive interplay that takes place from there, whether you want to call it, my spirit helper, my guardian angel, as my Catholic teachings taught me. It's always your guardian angel is helping you, or your intuitive voice. That process is always playing, with you as a producer, or myself as an artist, or heck, an engineer working along in his office is playing with the same types of energies. Only with an artist, there's a lot of feeling of going one direction or another, coloring the story with metaphor, with poetic, with rhetorical language in order to accomplish the end goal, which is to communicate feeling, not to communicate thinking, not to communicate believing, but rather communicating feeling and emotional unity. Because a song is worthy when it does hit the emotional chords from one person to another. That's the objective.
I like how you said imprinting emotion. I mean, that certainly is an effect that I think music should have on people. A lot of times, I don't know, sometimes I think in this day and age that music is less important for some people. And I like those, I like to think those, especially public radio listeners, are listening intuitively and directly listening to what is being said, and maybe those imprinting of emotions come through a little clearer, but that's a nice way of putting it. Jack Gladstone is my guest tonight on Musician Spotlight. His latest recording is called Buckskin Poet Society. It's available in all record stores, all better record stores throughout Montana. You also have 2 other recordings out, including In the Shadow of Mount Lassen from 1991. And
yes. And Wolves and Sea and Plain, and now almost a collector's item now.
Yeah, right? That one's a little harder to get.
1988, in which let's see, Wolf and Little Bighorn and Barn Dance, 3 of the songs that were on our Western Harmony show were included there.
Great. Well, Jack, thanks for coming on the program. I'd like to hear some more music from you.
You got it. Thank you, Mike.
On the journey that we climb. To the summit of the mountain we do find there are heroes, there are fools, there are builders ever reaching for their tools. With their tools they build the walls that stand solid, fresh and tall. You know building is a risky thing to do when the work you perform outlasts you. Through the romance, through the dance, over rolling plains of troubled circumstance, into the journey we are born. Always keep your dreams alive over the storm, and may your dreams form a love that survives you. We remember your warm grin and the trickster that would make us smile again. You build bridges, you build walls, but now we find you build your spirit in us all. Through the joy and through the pain, through the loving, through the rain. Sometimes rainbow colors aren't easy to see. How you forgive and how you love is the key. Through the romance, through the dance, over rolling plains of troubled circumstance, into the journey we are born. Always keep your dreams alive over the storm, and may your dreams form a love that survives you. Through the romance, through the dance, over rolling seas, a challenge circumstance, through the journey we are born. Always keep your dreams alive over the storm, and may your dreams form a love that survives you. Your children carry the love that survives you.
I wrote this song a year ago, last spring, with the colors. The photosynthesis was occurring rapidly around, and everything was turning green and bursting forth with life, kind of like it has done after the rains kind of stopped here this year. But the Circle of Life is dedicated to the circles and to the lessons contained within the circles, for we see the most powerful forms in nature are in circles: the stars, the sun and the moon, the waxing and waning of the moon in her cycles. The seasons come and go and come again in circles. Wind in a tornado, the most powerful form, a circle. A whirlpool with water, most powerful form, a circle. With a circle, there's neither beginning nor end, but continual transformation. All things are interrelated. The Circle of Life is dedicated to the Earth Mother, to Mother Earth, or Mother Nature. I'll go with the Western civilization, Mother Nature. You can get along with that. Circle of Life.
In a bottomless sea of timeless space, in the center of 1 trillion stars, there's a circle from which we all have come that reflects who we are. From the circle we hear her seasons sing in foreseen harmony, And from this song we know her love in all the earth receives. From the snowpack in the highlands, her blood flows with the spring. Forever the sun's a lover, a songbird choir sings. She's a circle of life, she's the womb of the sun's creation. She's his forever wife, she's a harvest of every nation. She's a mother of every life born through each day and each night. With the Father she gave the earth for. She's a circle of life. In our paths of time we share the sky with those upon the wing, and with those living 'neath the waves whose motion is unseen. All life around stems from the green, in green all life abounds. We step her dance and speak her songs when each season sounds. From the snowpack in the highlands, her blood flows with the spring. Forever the sun's a lover, a songbird choir sings. She's a circle of life, she's the womb of the sun's creation. She's his forever wife, she's a harvest of every nation. She's a mother of every life born through each day and each night. With the Father she gave the earth for. She's a circle of life. Help me sing it. She's a circle of life, womb of the sun's creation. She's the womb of the sun's creation. Forever wife, she's his forever wife, harvest of every nation. She's a harvest of every nation. She's a mother of every life born day and night, through each day and each night. With the Father she gave the earth form. With the Father she gave the earth form. She's a circle of life. 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 Thank you.
You've been listening to Musician Spotlight, and my guest tonight, thanks to Jack Gladstone for being on the program.
Hey,
Thanks for having you here, Jack.
good being here in the studios.
Indian summer's over now, I've taken to the hills, staring through the glowing logs that undermine the chill that accompany my leaving to a distant land and time. The whipping rains that slap the shields covering my eyes, you're my memory above the timberline. You are like a summer's day that warms one to the soul. You are as the archer's eyes drawn on from the bow. Lover to the air, I will swear we never will unbind. No mountain range and open plain may separate our lives. You're my memory above the timberline. Fortune has a place for those who plan and see dreams through, and failure is amused by those who wander around confused. Destiny is shaped by those who blaze the trail true. Faith can keep our prayers aloft, beaming towards the blue. There will come a day when my body's old and gray. The inner voice within me will bubble out and say, I've enjoyed the seaport's pleasures with its women's song and wine. But you know they never ever granted peace of mind like those memories above the timberline. You're my memory above the timberline. The snow came early and lay on deep. The cold-blown bitter made the women weep. Our men tracked hard but could find no game. In our children's bellies were crying pains. And our elders gathered in the even dawn. They prayed and waited and looked. Little did they know that way up high the bear had stole the Chinook. A ragged orphan boy living alone, called to the animals in his home. Howling magpie flew on in. Coyote and weasel, there was 4 of them. As the council met, the magpie caught as her hero shivered and shook. He said, my relatives told me so. The bear has stole the Chinook. Our heroes journey to release the wind turned west to the mountain bear's den. For days they teamed and traveled along. Together they did ascend up to the den that held the Chinook. The grizzly snored and snarled in his sleep. Owl crept close into his lodge, peeped. Ooh, ooh. Bear punched Owl's eyes with a stick. So they sent in a brother who was lightning quick. As the weasel slithered easy through the hole, he found the elkskin bag of the crook. The bear in rage roared, go away. I'm the bear who stole the Chinook. Then our friends made medicine smoke appear and blew it in the grizzly bear's den. The big old grizz fell fast asleep as Coyote crept on in. He found the bag where the wind was kept and pulled it till the light of day. There a prairie chicken picked the stitches out. Then the Chinook blew on its way. The Chinook blew on its way. Shh. The bear burst suddenly from his sleep. Our friends all fled, their job complete. Oh, the bear in vain pursued the wind. But the warm wind never was again his friend. Now the bear sleeps underground the winter long. In his lodge he grumbles and looks back to the days of the winter warmth. Back to the bear who stole the Chinook. To the bear who stole the Chinook. I'm the bear who stole the Chinook.
Good evening, this is Michael Marsalic. Welcome to Musician Spotlight. It's my pleasure to welcome my guest tonight, Jim Dexter.
Tick tock, watch the hens race round the clock. They're on a mission. Now they've just ticked off another day for us to wish on. A bright line is what's become of time. Here's our position. Now take it and spin it around till the circle meets completion. And in our hearts there it will stay as the hands come around and take the pain away. Oh. And only joy remains here. Grain by grain is the hourglass refrain that never changes. All you need is the rhythm to proceed on through the ages. Drums and chants, and as we begin to dance, it is contagious. The heart keeps time on the beat as it plays us. And in our hearts there it will stay as the hands come around and take the pain away. Oh. And only joy remains here. Whoa, whoa, innocence, we stand and face the moment with a full heart. It's time for change as we seek to rearrange and get a head start. Each is a child. We wonder at the sundial and its meaning, as it seems alright that for all of our lives it takes shadows and lights and courage to keep our hearts from leaving. In our hearts there it will stay as the hands come around and take the pain away. Oh. And only joy remains here. And only joy remains here. Joy remains
This is Michael Marsalic. My guest tonight on Musician Spotlight is Jim Dester.
Hi, Mike.
Welcome back.
Oh, thank you
to
very
Montana.
much. Glad to be back.
Yeah. Jim hails from New York, Long Island specifically, and have come back out to Montana. You've been here a few times already, haven't you?
Well, actually, this is my second time. I was out last summer doing some music and some vacationing with some friends, old and new, down in Hamilton, down the Bitterroot Valley.
Yeah.
And we did a couple of concerts at the Chantilly Theater in Stevensville, which
Yeah.
you were also involved.
Yes.
We had a great time doing some singing and playing together.
Well, our mutual friend Russell Perri is your connection to Montana. And
Yes, that's right.
tell me a little bit about how that connection came about. That first of all, you guys connected back in New York, and then how it ended up that you're out here to do some music in Montana.
Right. Well, around about 10 years ago, we were both students at the State University of New York at Stony Brook on Long Island, and we just sort of hooked up in the Fine Arts Center there. But we were working in various degrees through the theater department, and we hooked up there. Actually, that's actually where we did the recording. We actually met in the bookstore. We both worked in the campus bookstore, and we had a similar taste in music, and we both realized that we really enjoyed the music of Pat Metheny. And as a result, I ended up, we'd hang out and listen to music, and we ended up writing some stuff together. And we wrote several tunes. Hopefully we'll get to hear a couple of them on the show this evening, because Russ is here with me tonight. And we wrote some stuff together. Then actually we kind of stopped hanging out for a little while together. Then I heard Russ was going to be doing some recording of his own stuff. I went down to listen in the recital hall area where we were doing the recording, and because I was working in the Fine Arts Center at the time, and I heard him playing these really great pieces, several of them. One of them really struck me in particular as quite a lovely piece, and so I knew they were recording, so I waited until they were done, and I walked in and I said, "Russ, that was just a beautiful piece." And he said, well, that's very nice, because you wrote it. It was a piece that we had worked on months earlier, and he had done a piano arrangement for it, which was beautiful. It was stunningly beautiful. And so that's really what kind of really sparked us working together more intensely. And we always talked about how we would love to someday make a record together and do stuff. And actually, that's what I'm out here this fall getting ready to do.
Well, it's great that 10 years later you get to put some of the stuff together and do an album.
Yep.
Russell's solo recording of all piano music will be released shortly, and it's exciting to hear that we're coming back to do some stuff together.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. We never, I don't think 10 years ago, ever thought we'd end up working in Montana, being from Long Island. It's kind of a happy part of the story, I think, because it's lovely spending some time here doing things other than music too, which is quite a lot of fun. Helpful for me.
Jim, tell me a little bit about your musical history and background. You're currently playing, I understand, with a band in New York, and have played with numerous groups. What are you doing currently? And that's a little different than your solo work.
Yes,
so how do you feel about the two things?
Well, I just enjoy playing. I've always enjoyed playing lots of different styles. Of course, growing up musically, really during the 70s, I would say. Although I have some musical influences from the 60s, really I began playing guitar and working on it more in the 70s. Rock is really where many folks of our generation learned to get into the music, and so I was in a variety of rock bands since then until now. The group I'm in now, back in New York, is a group called Point of View. That's Point of Y-O-U, so it's Point of View, not Point of View. And we've gone through a couple different incarnations, and we've opened for some big bands, the Byrds and the Rascals, and coming up next weekend, we're going to be playing in middle of Manhattan with lots of other big bands at a big outdoor festival. I don't even know the list of who's all going to be there, but we go on right after Dave Dinkins, the mayor of New York. That's all I know. So that's more of a alternative slash pop melodic rock kind of a group with a world beat in it also a little bit. It's a kind of a hard to describe. And that I'm the lead. I'm the only guitar player in that group, and it's more of a rock kind of a thing. My music that I tend to write tends to be more acoustic guitar based and perhaps more folk oriented, as you heard the opening song "Only Joy Remains." That's kind of the thing that I do on my own, but I'm capable of doing all kinds of other musical things. So.
What kind of stuff were you and Russell going to be doing? I mean, we'll hear some of it
Coming
in
up,
a moment or two, but
this is stuff that we're planning for the album that we're working on. It's going to be an instrumental record of just acoustic guitar and piano. And it's things that many of the pieces were done, we wrote about 10 years ago, and then we're also doing some more updated music, some brand new stuff. Sort of along the lines of Windham Hill comes to mind, but we have our own take on it, I would say, that kind of music. So that's another avenue of music that I follow in those days. We all do a little bit of everything.
tell me about your heroes. Who are your heroes? Or
Well,
your
on guitar,
influences,
I would have to say Michael Hedges is about my big guitar guru right now. He's just when I first heard Michael Hedges play, I thought, well, that's what I'm looking for, and that's the kind of direction I've always was trying to head. Although maybe I just didn't have I don't want to say I didn't have the intelligence, but I just didn't really have an idea about how to do that. And then I heard him play, and I said, oh, okay. And so that's it. Also, Alex DeGrassi had quite an effect on me. And as far as songwriters now, other than just instrumentalists, although Michael Hedges is also a wonderful songwriter, as well as an instrumentalist, I find Sean Colvin to be quite my songwriting hero right now, I would say. She just, all of her songs just kind of floor me, pretty much, so.
I'm a big fan, too.
Yeah. I also do a radio show back home in New York, and I don't think folks were getting tired of hearing Sean there for a while, but I offered her music up regularly for the listening audience.
Well, I hope in addition, Jim, to your collaboration with Russell Perri coming up, I understand you'll be recording this fall in the winter.
Yep.
Probably recording in the winter.
In the wintertime, we're going to record. I was out here rehearsing this past week here in Montana, rehearsing and vacationing, and we also did a little impromptu concert, which went over very well. We had a great time working with a lot of folks down in Hamilton. And the record that we're going to be doing, and Russell's record, is a part of new production company, actually, which Russ has started, which is called Early to Rise Productions.
Well, I hope that at some point, too, you can do some recording of your vocal tunes. I really like the stuff that you've written and heard.
That is also, we're in discussion in terms of the next record after the Jim Dester Russell Perri collaboration of perhaps also putting out a solo record of my own on Early to Rise. So that hopefully will be sooner than later.
That's great.
But I don't have a real time frame on that yet, but we'll see what happens.
Well, I'd like to hear some more music.
Okay, great. Well,
my guest tonight on Musician Spotlight is Jim Dester, and in a moment we'll bring out Russell Perri and hear some more music.
Well, that was a piece we wrote, did the music for. Russ came up with a great part and titled it Sun Flurries. And what we're going to do now is a piece from the upcoming, as yet untitled, release from Russell Perri and Jim Dexter. This is a piece Russ wrote called Race to the Sky.
This is Michael Marsalic. You've been tuned to Musician Spotlight, a Montana Public Radio production. My thanks to my good friends, Jim Dexter and Russell Perri.
Well, thank you, Mike, for having us on.
Thanks for being on the show, back on the show. Russell, anxious to hear your new CD?
Oh yeah, me too. It'll be out oh so soon.
That's exciting.
Yes.
Jim, I hope to get you back in Montana real soon, and
I'll be back very shortly.
I'm anxious to hear some more of the music that you guys are going to be able to do and write together.
Great.
Indeed you will.
Thanks again for being on the program.
Well,
Jim Dexter and Russell Perri.